Hi, my name is Rich. I use the he, him pronouns, and you're watching my YouTube channel where I play amazing tabletop role-playing games with friends. This is Intercontinental Group of Awesome, our official launch of the new series of Vagabonds of Xcrawl. So Xcrawl is this game that came out many years, like, gosh, decades-ish ago. It's a D&D setting with the idea of, well, I'll let Jen do most of the explaining, but basically extreme dungeon crawling is the fad in this fantasy version of a Imperial America. It's wild. It's a head trip. I've always been fascinated by it. I think Panda Head Studios started, then it ended up with like Goodman Games. It's gone through D&D and also Pathfinder iterations. There's all kinds of various dungeons out there that are cool. And the rules are DCC. Yeah, thank you. That's right. As well, Dungeon Crawl Classics and most recent versions. But those are all pretty weighty systems and more than a lot of us play a lot. So Jen decided to remix it with Vagabonds of Dyfed or Defood. I'm not sure how to pronounce that word, so I butchered it, which is from Ben Dutter. And it is a World of Dungeons kind of teased out. Jen took that as the base model, remixed it a whole bunch, and made some really cool stuff that feels to me like a little Worldwide Wrestling RPG, a little World of Dungeons, and all the trappings of D&D that I want. So I'm excited to play this. I've had an opportunity to play a one-shot of it and thought to myself, man, this is hot. I like it. And I also want the off the court, off the field stuff. And that's one of the things that we're all itching to try. And if you follow Alex on Twitter, and if you don't, you should, because you're not going to get flooded with a whole lot of stuff, but the stuff that does come through is quality. As Alex has already shown some pictures, and hopefully you will be sharing pictures as you introduce your character. The share button is in the middle. It's a very large green button that you will miss. So the best part of this, as you can already tell, is that I am not the GM in this game is called a DJ, and I'm not the DJ, but I know the DJ. Okay, so let me take control and hand it to you, Jen.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Jen. I use the she, her pronouns. I will be your DJ for this dungeon. That is Dungeon Judge in the wild and wacky world of Xcrawl. Our participants are going to be challenging the new Smoky Mountains crawl, which is going to be hosted in the historical Harewood Mines, a converted, shut down mine that has been hastily refigured into this dungeon crawling arena, complete with break rooms and access tunnels that aren't the same as the old access tunnels. You'll get the idea. Anyways, we're going to pass along. Somebody needs to introduce their character. I choose Alex.
Unmute, of course, and I will screen share. There we go. I think. I don't know what I'm sharing. My whole tab, just the window. Who knows? Anyway, I'm playing Debs, or Debarak Gordotte. She is half-orc and daughter of two ex-crawlers. She is cute and bubbly.
She's cute and bubbly. I love her. Do either of your parents ever do the convention, sign my memorabilia scene?
Oh yeah, I mean they have to. I mean it's
okay. Yeah.
The whole part of the being ex-crawlers. It's
too famous to get a real job, not famous enough to get another.
And of course there is, as popular as they are, there is still that bit of stink from the whole, human half-orc couple.
Hard times, hard times. All right. Next up, Sabine, introduce yourself and your character.
Hi, my name is Sabine. I use any pronouns, and I'm playing Gildor and Glarion. He, him pronouns mostly. Use the stage name of Cobra. Gildor is, well, he used to make his living by being a yoga instructor or something like that. He had a yoga channel. His father, as you might surmise, hearing the name, Anglarion, his father Yondaril, it's the Yondaril Anglarion, the host of one of the most popular game shows where you can win toasters ever. And yeah, he financed the yoga show, but it kind of fell through when things happen. Yeah, things happen. Let's just leave it at that. Gildor has been training in martial arts, and his dream is to open a sort of a yoga martial arts studio, and to raise money and promotion for this thing. He is on the Xcrawl now because he will do it without his father financing everything. Mostly. Well, some of it. Hey, Beaker. Hi. This is the little dog over there.
Adorable. Oh, this session has a mascot. Hi, Beaker. Cool. All right. Well, because there's dog snuggling going on, Tyler, introduce your character.
All righty. I am playing Dominic, Little Big Man Stubbins, a small folk bard who is comes from a upper middle class family and has struggled his way through the mean streets of Brentwood to become the great and fantastic exemplar of dungeon crawling done the fashion way. And he is a dancer, a singer, a comedian, an actor. He's a quadruple threat. And he can sort of fight occasionally if he has to. I mean, if he really has to.
All right. Well, here's hoping he has to, because I think that's more entertaining than him not. Lastly, Rich, introduce yourself and your character.
You bet. I'm Rich, and I play on this a lot. So hopefully you know me. And if you've randomly found me, hello, I'm still Rich. This is Beaker. Sorry, but he demanded to be held for a few minutes. I am playing Philip Nearly, who uses the Xcrawl moniker of Griffin. And Griffin is our token human wizard. He has the wonderful familiar Urfel J. Offengoof, of which he's a big fan. Urfel has plot immunity, I've been told. I'm very happy about that. And yeah, Griffin is a guy who's just come back to Xcrawl after early entrance. He took some time off to finish up college and worked as a arcane consultant on Spell Law, a TV show.
Oh, does Spell Law have the doink doink, or do they have something else?
Dun dun. They do. It's just this lean all
It's
the
just
way
the
in.
same doink doink. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I like it. Or maybe that dun 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 dun. Anyway. Excellent. So this is our current Xcrawl team. Do you guys have this is my fault because I never brought it up. Do you guys have an Xcrawl team name? Don't answer now. Just think about it. Just bubble it in your mind. We don't have to have that decided right now, because I can elide this fact as we go forward. And I should probably get in the roller with everybody else, even though I have specifically hacked Vagabonds of Xcrawl to make sure that I don't got to roll, because I'm too old for that shit. And let us begin. So we start the scene. You all are in what's known as the green room, which in this case is an RV trailer, not a crappy one, like a relatively nice one, clean, tidy. You've got a couple of PAs, producers, assistants, buzzing around, constantly calling off times to one another as things get put into place, pressing this little headphone set to their ears as they receive different transmissions from across the studio space, so to speak, of the Smoky Mountains crawl. How are you guys feeling in these tense preparatory moments?
Well, Gildor is, of course, very calm. He will play with his yo-yo and he will make the yo-yo go in a movie strip. Just, for the camera. I imagine the camera is already on.
This is the green room, actually. There are no cameras here.
I know. Damn it. Gildor didn't know that. He's mugging a camera that doesn't exist.
He's mugging for a camera that, I mean, with arcane video screens around, you can never be sure. You are never 100% certain. Perhaps this yo-yo action will make it onto the home video collection of this season of Xcrawl. Because it would certainly make good B-roll at the very least.
Is there like a little section with drinks things?
Yep. There's a little bit of drinks.
I'm
there's some
handing out
light
drinks.
Snacks. Yeah. Okay.
I'm checking if anyone wants drinks.
Mhm.
Tea? Cobra? Green, I think they have green tea.
Ooh, green tea. Green tea for me, yes, please.
For Griffin, green tea. Dominic?
Don't they have beer?
I'll check.
It
I really like having to move between them quite awkwardly since I take up a lot more space.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good RV, but it's not that good.
I will flow out of your way because I can move can move pretty well. I like to show it off.
You pop open the mini fridge. Inside are bottles of Neptune's Natural 20, a few Dr. Enoughs, a couple of NRG brand energy drinks.
Is the mini fridge plugged into thing or is it on its own power?
I'm not sure what the difference would be.
Is it plugged in? Is it connected into the wall?
I mean, yes.
Okay, I won't
Yes,
pick it up
into the
bring
wall
it.
of the, yes. Okay, got it. Yep.
Yeah.
So you, I think you can, but you have to carefully unplug it first. I think that's the only big deal.
Yeah,
And then, you present the whole mini fridge
Yeah.
to Dominique.
Or maybe I do because
This meager non-alcoholic. Oh, also, there's definitely somebody's lunch in it. There's probably one of the PAs. It's labeled "Do not take."
I won't take it then.
Good on you.
I'm probably noodling around on my ukulele and, trying to come up with an appropriate theme. But I'll look at Debs, you've done a lot more of this than the rest of us. What should we expect here?
Never done Smoky Mountain, so I mean, all the DJs have their own.
Nobody's done Smoky Mountain.
Oh, yeah.
This is actually the inaugural crawl.
Okay, I mean, this is a new setup, new DJ. They're probably going to want to do something different, so I feel anything specific I say will just be wasted. But stay optimistic, work as a team. Yeah.
Okay.
If you're worried, just stay close. I'll keep an eye on you.
I'll depend on that.
Philip, how are you feeling? How are you preparing?
I think Philip is reading up on his books, trying to be studious, but he keeps his eyes always straight up to Cobra and the mugging for the camera that isn't there, and Debs in the fridge. So he's easily distracted, but he's trying to seem like he's getting his game face on. He's a little nervous. I think this is good. Like, People always remember something big on the first run of an Xcrawl, he says, just randomly.
As I walk past, I give Urfel, Offengoof. Yeah, Urfel Offengoof a little scratch underneath the chin. Which is the tip of my pink claw.
Accommodatingly, like, lifts his chin and kind of leans into it.
Yeah.
And then a PA pops open the door and leans in just enough to say, "Team, 2 minutes." And that 2 minutes starts to trickle through the hourglass very quickly. And then another call comes in. All right, 30 seconds. We need you to come this way. And you get directed verbally through, go down this stairway, through that entrance there. It's marked in flank. There are people like standing there, perhaps just to corral you specifically and make sure that your faces are pointed in the correct direction as you enter. And they say, keep walking downwards. You can't miss it. Assume cameras on after the second banner. Good luck, team.
Thanks.
Already on.
I
Do we have a
gesture for
start?
Day Off and Goof's little bow tie a little bit, make sure he's ready.
Do we have a start of when we go into the dungeon? Do we have a thing that we do, like everybody claps each other's shoulders or something? And that is Cobra asking the team.
Ooh,
Well,
a
we
cool
can do that.
pose
Give
down.
Cobra a clap on the shoulder. Maybe knocking
Not a bad
her
idea, Cobra.
forward a foot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll fall. I just tumble with it and then come to my feet again.
Sorry.
That's fine. I like the exercise. Thank you.
All right. So you follow forth as directed. You go through one sort of set of banners and sort of, what do you call that, pipe and drape, basically, just a few artificial fabric walls, effectively, that cordon off certain spaces from other spaces. And then you emerge fully in this outdoor location. There's a small crowd seated on a few sort of temporary stands. And it's a small crowd. It's not, at first, maybe you're a little nervous because you're like, oh no, this is the whole live audience. But then you realize from some conversations perhaps that you've had with producers and etc., that probably this is just the hardcores who really want to see the opening rituals performed and the starting gun fired, so to speak, and that most of the audience has probably already rushed to their seats in the observation tunnels. A lot of the audience members are, of course, wearing varied graphic t-shirts, most of them promoting Xcrawl in some way, either the league itself or perhaps particular crawlers that they are a fan of, or commemorative shirts for this particular crawl. Definitely there are a lot of people being that guy today. Some audience members are even wearing novelty yellow miners helmets with like cheap little lights and everything. The merch game has been quite strong for this one so far. And then on a big AVS screen off to the side, the face of DJ Willowburn appears. And she says, "Welcome, team, to the Smoky Mountains crawl. Very happy to throw you into this particular depth. I think that you'll find it quite challenging."
Well, we're here to be challenged, aren't we?
That's right. We're going to put you to a day's work, son.
I hope so, man.
Oh, and you wore your bright city slicker clothes too. This is going to be fun.
We'll get through this together, right, guys?
As a team.
As a team.
As a team, I feel I need to just like grab both of them from either side to kind of.
Well, that's all as it should
Griffin.
be.
Griffin like slides in.
Yeah.
Big smiles.
Yep, there's a bit of crowd response. Well, it's glad to see that you're prepared. You're ready. You're feeling excited. So welcome. Please enter my dungeon, plunder its treasures, defeat its monsters. But if you die, and her and the crowd, of course, calls back in together, shouting all at once, you die. And then there's some typical ceremonial language, with the blessing of Emperor Ronald I, forever may he reign. I call the start of the inaugural Smoky Mountains crawl. In the name of Apollo and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And this sort of carries on. But in the meantime, you guys are given leave to sort of wander further towards the crawl. It's sort of a slow, red carpety sort of walk as these formalities are undertaken. So did you guys do that shoulder thing? You're trying to hype yourselves up?
Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent. So I think that might be an early grandstanding roll. However, you're not really committing to an action, so
We're committing to defeating the dungeon.
that's not something you resolve in one roll. So I'm
Thank goodness.
simply right. That would be pretty boring, but I'm gonna try to talk you through a bit about the crowd attitude and the crowd clock. So right now, the crowd that you are performing before, because of course any good Xcrawl is run before a live audience. The crowd has a couple of tags. Those tags are blue collar and isolated. Okay. Alex is going to step away for a minute, but he'll be right back, and hopefully it'll be easy enough to summarize any crowd talk. It's a pretty simple topic. I've started your crowd at a neutral attitude. That attitude.
So maybe we could grandstand to improve that attitude.
Yep. Yeah. When you sway the crowd, I mark the crowd clock. And when every box of the crowd clock is filled, their attitude rolls over. Their attitude becomes one improved. Things can, of course, remove marks from the crowd clock. As perhaps you do some kind of party foul that the crowd doesn't really like. That turns them off in the moment. You're going to have to win back a bit more of their trust. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm not really finding a particular move that would sort of wedge in here. Unless, you know what, I'm going to wedge it. I'm going to wedge it anyways, because that's how I like to do this. So let's see, who is this? Yes, all right. So as you head towards the entrance, Betty Brightwell, actually, accompanied by a trusty camera person that is fully anonymous by dint of being behind a camera, crowd up to you. And then I think I'm going to wait for Alex to get back before I set up the fiction, but we're going to do a confessional to the camera roll. And we'll have that be, I think, a grandstanded role. So grandstanding, actually, this could be useful. Grandstanding is something you do with another move. It is one roll that forks into two sets of move results, is a good way to think about it. So when you grandstand while doing something, you describe what you're attempting, how you do it, and then you roll 3d6 plus your aptitude. The tag grandstanding always applies to your roll and is always negative. You may bring fame tags into this roll if reasonable. Then you choose 2 dice from your 3d6 to resolve your action with, and 2 dice to resolve your grandstanding with, meaning that you're going to have to reuse 1 die in each roll. You must use each die at least once. And so you can basically, when you grandstand, you're having that strange roll result, and you're trying to decide whether you want to really nail the grandstand or if you want to really nail the action that you're grandstanding with a bit. Do you want to sway the crowd, or do you want to actually succeed without any penalties?
Oh, yeah. I don't think it's a manuscript from the experience. Like, they'll be like, he's this very popular singer. And I'm like, I don't know any music.
I think swaying the crowd at the start sounds good to me, unless Cobra, Little Big Man, feels like getting a leg up for the first roll makes more sense.
I like
Oh, yeah.
swaying the crowd too.
Well, y'all haven't rolled yet, so swaying the crowd itself is not
Oh.
a roll by itself.
Oh, I thought we were going to
Oh.
like plan ahead.
No.
I'm sorry. I thought that was a
So,
question you asked us.
Check. No, that wasn't. Check
Okay,
in
sorry.
on the moves tab.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna be having you roll to give a confessional to the camera with Betty
Got it.
Brightwell.
Got it.
And yeah,
And each of us rolls that, right? Or should we just all of us roll it
There
at
should-
once?
there should be an elected person to do the role, frankly, because I don't want to be here forever. That's a little momentum killing at what's supposed to be the start of this crawl.
Beyond Little Big Man, then he's our talker.
All right. I like that. And you want to start this sort of team effort, this team ritual. You're trying to found a tradition. I think that's a good cause for grandstanding. So yeah, Betty Brightwell sort of pushes forward out of the scrum with her cameraman and points a microphone in your face and says, Dominique, welcome to the crawl. What would you like to
Thank you, Betty.
What would you like to say to all of the small folk at home who don't really think that they're cut out for Xcrawl?
Well, I want to tell them that there's no doubt every one of us, no matter your size, can get out there and do big things just like the Little Big Man. And you do it by having a team at your back, enemies in your face, and doing it with style, panache, because we are one unit, and a team embiggens the smallest man.
I like it. I like it. It's not super confessional, but I don't care. So let's form your aptitude and roll it. And add a die to that roll. Your grandstanding, so that's always going to be a negative, but you can bring your fame into it. So let's see where we end up.
right, and I don't have fame yet, do I?
You do. You have your fame. It starts on row 54. You're famous for opening for Delight and
Oh yes.
moonwalking through the Motor City Death Maze. I don't think that either of those particularly work here. None of them are sort of team oriented like you were talking about.
Mm-mm. Okay, and I can't bring any other aptitudes in, just the fame.
Oh no, you can bring other aptitudes in.
All right.
Yeah, that is not, it is permission for fame. It is not fame only.
Gotcha. Maybe little man, big smile,
Mm-hmm.
and white hat, baby face.
All right, I think that No Nuts, No Glory kind of helps here too.
Okay, cool.
It's definitely a, you got to get in there. You got to do this stuff. So I believe that gives you an aptitude of, yeah, a +2. So roll
All
3d6 plus 2.
Okie dokie. Rolling.
Okay. So now you're going to choose 2 of those to make your confessional roll, and 2 of them to make your grandstand roll.
And I have to use them all, but I can repeat.
Yes.
Okay. So, well, it looks like I can get a 10 and a 10.
Yep. Pretty handy. So you're going to sway the crowd and carry 1 forward from your grandstand results. So I'm going to bark the crowd clock. They love it. Especially, as you guys do your pre-game shoulder patting, like there's cheering. People are getting amped up. And then you gave a confessional to the camera. So you get to choose 2 from the list. You can restore some hit points. You can add 1 to the teamwork pool, or you can sway the crowd.
Let's sway the crowd and add 1 to the pool.
Sounds great. All right, a good start.
Where do I find our pool? Is there anything?
Far
It is-
left side.
Yeah, left
Far
hand side of the
left
main
side.
characters. Yeah.
Next to Earth and J. I have only.
No,
Oh no, that's
the
big-
other
oh,
left.
gosh, today, finding things that are big and bright. It's not. I'm not going to do it. Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. All right. So yeah, our teamwork pool is at 4 right now. Quite good for an opening move. A few folks who are pretty clearly production assistants in a costume of some kind, like they're in these grubby miners kits, right? Motion you down through this big, the entrance to the mines, the Harewood mines. There's a lot of flat open space that has been converted into, standing area space for the crowds. That is Harewood, like the rabbit plus the wood. Well, not rabbit, you know what I mean. The bunnies, the ears. Betty Brightwell lets you move past, saying something into the camera about the canned quote that she just got and how everyone's just so excited. The very typical sort of thing that you would expect a reporter to say after getting a nice big quote like that and some good footage. And then sort of just past that flat entryway, which has signs of being further cleared, cement laid down. A lot of the rubbleness of this area has been smoothed over, but the entrance to the mine itself is allowed to look theatrically craggy, right? You get the sense that probably 1 in 4 of the stalactites that are still hanging over the door, or perhaps 4 in 4 of them. They're probably foam that's been carved and painted. And you trot down some lights. As you do, there are AVS screens that display, the Smoky Mountains Crawl logo, Inaugural Crawl, your faces and bios with information from the Adventurers Guild. And then you're led through this entryway into a very large industrial elevator, which has definitely seen better days. The elevator car itself is this open metal cage, about 20 feet by 20 feet, with a shielded control console in one corner. If you've got an eye for this kind of thing, only some of the rust and grime is painted on, but a lot of it is au naturel. The console has 2 buttons, one marked top and one marked bottom. And its paneling has no-go stickers slapped on it, so you know that you're not supposed to interfere with this console. So what do you do when confronted with this terrible conundrum?
I look to one of them like, how far down do you think it is? Like nervously looking through the grated floor.
And all you see through that grated floor is rock and darkness.
I'm betting pretty deep.
After 100 feet, it's all the same.
Okay.
Says the
Just
human.
start to not look at the ground.
We could
It was like, yeah.
we could conceivably throw something down and listen to the sound. Of course, that might alert some enemies as to our location.
Can we get down just soon? Not too soon.
Who are you asking?
Anyone.
So there's a referee in the traditional white and black striped shirt. This would be Sam Battleaxe Batson, who, sees that he's needed, steps in. What's the problem, Debs?
Just, the height. It's fine. It's fine. Once we get on the ground, I'll be good.
I
It
guess
seems like you need some instructional assistance. You could press the down button to go down and begin the dungeon.
Anytime.
Anytime.
I'll press the down button.
Best of luck. And he waves as you go down.
How wobbly is the descent? Or creaky?
There's a lot of metallic groans that fill the air, and it's dun 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 dun. But it's steady, it's solid. It's not like you're suspended by a cable from a crane, right? You're not wobbling back and forth. And it's very handy, and it's just with just the 4 of you, it probably vibrates a bit more than it would if it were fully loaded with bodies. So, it punches at you a little bit, but it does so in this reliable way. It always feels like it's the same action.
don't worry, Deb. It would be terrible viewing if they just squished us in the elevator going down.
Yep. As you descend, natural light starts to fade from above, and the rock walls just swallow the whole cage of the elevator. Brash yellow light spits from caged sodium bulbs in the corners of the elevator. As just the sound of the elevator descending fills the space. You might notice that about 8 points around the elevator, you know, the corners and then the centers of the walls, there are these fluorescent coated wire and plug contraptions, making it look like maybe this elevator was recently fixed in some way, but they're very televisable contraptions.
Seeing Deb's nervousness early on, he'll wait until they're going down, and he moves closer and leans in and says, Debs, this is a perfectly safe elevator. This is all for effect to build the tension. You know this. It's fine. We're good. It's okay. Probably lying, but sounds good.
Nice. And that's when you start to hear all of the scrabbling and scratching and squeaking, which starts to rise in intensity. And then the elevator, with its uncomfortably open, now that you're thinking about it and looking at it, cage of metal surrounding you, passes next to these holes in the wall, in the walls of stone. And through those holes pour these pale-skinned goblins with a motley assortment of stolen improvised gear, and a couple of giant bats pour in from each side.
Looks like we've got company.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yeah, it's about 4 and 4 of them right now. One of the goblins sort of grabs this little pouch from his belt and just tosses it into the center of you, and the others are beelining towards the fluorescent coated wires. What do you do?
I want to use my quarterstaff to play a little baseball with that pouch.
All right, cool. So you're trying to knock that around. Let's see you roll it. Okay.
So I need to figure out some of my approach thingy of some of my tags here, right?
Yep. We need to figure out what kind of tags apply to knocking a sack out of the air.
I feel that flow like water, rush like wind will apply here, right? I stance in a pose, I don't know, but gravity is more of a suggestion might help, because I'm not really need to stand on my feet for this, right? I can't just do a little flip over someone and then swipe it off. That's
sure.
Okay.
All right. So let's roll. It's 2d6 plus 2.
Okay.
And we're just looking for what you get in the basic core mechanics spread.
As a move, it's not a bonding moment. Pretty sure for that. It's not my signature move.
So this might be a little bit unclear looking at it. The moves are custom moves that sometimes exist, but for the most part, what you're going to be playing with is just the core mechanic.
Okay.
And
I get it.
And a specific move is not required.
Oh, okay. Now I understand how this works. Okay, cool. Then I'll just roll with this and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Sometimes I do a bad job underscoring how simple the core of this game and hack actually is.
Yep. I roll a 10.
You nail it a bunch. You roll a 10 with your tags. It's 12.
No, I rolled the tags are already factored in. I rolled an 8 with the tags.
Okay, cool. Well, you still get a complete success with no issues. You knock it away. Not only do you knock it away, but you knock it away in this gentle isn't necessarily the right word, but non-disruptive, because you realize that that pouch is made of this cheeseclothy like fabric, right? And so you probably don't want to get any of what's inside of it on you or on your staff.
Oh yes, yes.
And
Just the right amount of violence. You have to gauge the right amount of violence here. Yes.
Perfectly applied. And
it's the heart of yoga.
Yep. And it bounces off the wall and then down between the wall itself and the elevator and descends into wherever you don't know. The bats seem to try to follow the arc of that little sack, being pretty careful to not bump into you or your staff or what have you. They still have their echolocation. And then they sort of hang on the other side of the wall and they're a bit confused for now. So what does anybody else want to do something? Debs, how are you doing? As the elevator continues chugging along, bouncing you up and down.
I did say I would keep an eye on Little Big Man.
Mm-hmm.
Can I activate my, can I draw a line of defense and just make sure no one interferes with Dominic and Griff so they have time to do things? So
Sure, yeah.
I have a technique.
Yep, I see it. Sentinel. So
I think
let's build your aptitude pool and then roll it.
Big Sister.
I like it.
I mean, I have a weakness that's maybe overprotective to the point of getting in the way of the team. I don't know if that counts as a positive. That might actually be a negative and neutralize.
Well, you getting in the way of the team doesn't hinder your goal of being a sentinel here. I'm going to say that you can include that tag, but it may prove to force them at a disadvantage or sit as a negative tag to their roles if you do.
I throw that out. Would that be irritating or would that be a fun complication?
Pardon me, guys.
Okay, well, it sounds like there was a bit of a fire alarm that went off, so we'll go let Jen take care of that. I'm going to pause the game for a minute. And we're back. To answer your question, Alex, about devs being overprotective and that possibly causing a complication, that sounds great to me. I think that is a fun complication.
Yeah.
And my possibly too wordy approach might I could chop off the first bit.
You haven't tried to talk things out, so I'm going to say that your approach does not apply here.
No. So I think I've got the two. Plus
Sure.
2.
Sure.
Ooh, I don't want to roll fudge dice.
Don't do that. No, that's not going to help you much here.
I got an 11.
Oof. Hot stuff. Let's see. Excellent. So you create that line. Let's look at your technique here. On a 10 to 12, you halt the interloper's progress and their turn is over. So that is... okay. I'm sorry. I was misunderstanding the way this technique worked. So this is a reaction attack. We're just going to say that you have this reaction attack in your back pocket.
Okay.
And in fact, I'm just going to fling a goblin at you so that we use it. That seems good. That seems smart. So One goblin definitely tries to rush past you, and seems like he's in it for one of your squishy wizards, because everyone knows
Goblins love squishy wizards.
goblins love I mean, they ain't got any armor on him, but neither do these guys. But they definitely don't, except for the bard. He's got a little armor on him. Well, fine, the human then. The skinny, unarmored human will fight him instead of the somewhat jacked, unarmored human. And you halt their progress. Their turn is over. That goblin, what do you do to them? Describe it for me.
I mean, are they just stopped or are they hurt? Or
It says that you
pushed
halt
back?
their progress and their turn is over. So I'm imagining some kind of stunning effect.
Okay, I think as they try and run past me, they kind of suddenly they're blocked by the flat of side of the hammer. Not like hitting them; it's just in the way.
They just ran into it.
And then they are just pushed back the way they came, skidding
Nice.
across the floor, kind of like rolling back to their feet, and then clanging the hammer down on the ground, like, don't try that again.
Yep. And there's a goblin behind that one who's like, but then kind of decides to rummage around in his pockets for something else. But the other two goblins in the scene right now, they're just interested in those fluorescent cables. As they reach the ones that aren't sort of walled off by Debs's techniques and actions and sheer meaty wall of presence, they will start to disconnect them and pull these two very easy to see through a camera plugs apart. And as they do, thunk, 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 the elevator stops. Dominique, what are you up to?
I think seeing them over there screwing with the cables and worried that the next step may be to send us to our darkened death, I will pull out my sling, whirling it about me, and send a stone rocketing towards one of them.
Okay. The use of a sling takes up a bit of space, so I'm going to say that you are going to suffer a negative tag from Debs's protective action.
Makes sense.
So let's build your pool and roll it.
All right. I think this might pull my white hat baby face. This seems like the, doing the heroic work.
I could imagine a few bars of the Indiana Jones theme here. Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe no nuts, no glory. I don't know. This isn't putting me in much danger.
That's
Looks like
fair.
a flat roll.
All right.
Okay. So rolling 2. Oof, that's a 6.
Oh, that is tough. Now, if two of your teammates are interested in spending from the team pool, you could bump that up to a 7.
Cool. So the team pool, similar to masks, in that it's just a free 1 point boost to whatever roll if another player character spins it and narrates them doing a thing. Is that how it works?
So you're going to have to, narrating doing a thing is appreciated, but not essential, especially in this context, because before the roll, it's a 1-for-1 spend. But after the roll, you have to spend 2 team to get 1 bonus.
Oh, okay, I see.
So retroactive teamwork is a little more expensive.
Fair enough. And I see that after the roll 2 spin. I wasn't sure about the narration, like how
I mean,
is that just a
Death
thing
could
where we
duck.
just spin the points, or do we need to couch that within the narrative?
Like I said, especially retroactively, the narrative is it's icing. It's additional treats that I like. Num num num, but it isn't required. So if you have a way that you assist in this stone throw, let us have it. If you don't, if you're just like, well, you know, I'm providing emotional support by standing next to him doing what I was already doing, that's fine.
Got it. I've got Ledger Domain, Hand of Force, so maybe I do. Like, I've toss like wiggle my fingers and adjust the flight of it just a little bit, just like I'll give it a little curve so it goes in there, and I'll spin the two.
Yeah, cool. 2 people have to agree.
I would.
It
I
is
would
not
have that too, but
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is a very teamworky group of players. I love you guys. I know that you're into it. But just know that like there has to be basically a show of hands. And if only one person wants to spend from the teamwork pool to retroactively boost a roll, then it's not going to get boosted.
I hate to kind of do this after we're deciding on this, but I do have a tag Baned versus Unarmored on my sling. Would that be an enhancement?
That doesn't enhance your roll.
It does something with damage.
Yes, yeah, it
Cool.
does an
Okay.
additional point of damage to an unarmored opponent.
Okay.
Which definitely counts as one of these undergoblins, just so you know.
Oh, cool.
So now you have pushed this up into a hit. I'm looking at the combat resolution on the moves sheet of our character keeper. So at a 7 and 9, you exchange blows. The lowest d6 that you rolled, plus the modifiers that you might have,
Okay.
are the damage that you deal.
Well, that is a 1 + 1 if for my unarmored, so I suppose it's 2.
Yep. So you do 2 damage. And I'm going to just take that down as a paper note here. And yeah, you pop one of those undergoblins. Very good. He keels over and cusses in Goblin in some fashion. He's not having a good time. And he also deals some sticks and stones based damage to you. Which, let me look at the moves here. Yep. So he deals his damage plus the room's threat level, which would be 2 + 0. Now you know something secret about the room.
Ooh.
So 2 damage. You have 1 armor, our only armored contestant. So you take 1 hit point of damage.
All righty.
Very good.
Ow.
And now, Philip, how would you like to engage with this situation?
Well, a quick question. So a
Mhm.
lot of times we can hit the basic move and use tags to do things, but I also have 2 techniques: transferring heat and Hand of Force,
Mhm.
and Ledger Domain. So I have transfer heat, Hand of Force. I have 3. Sorry. Do I need to, if I'm going to do a spell, do I need to make it the techniques that have that magic around it?
So consider your magical techniques here, in my opinion, as permission to attempt things.
Okay.
So you have permission to roll to transfer heat, but Gildor really doesn't. He can roll all day, but it's never going to transfer heat when he does it.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
So those are like a penumbra of how my magic works. I don't have magic missile.
Right.
I have. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
anytime I do magic, I need to funnel it through those 3 avenues, those penumbras. Everything else is non-magic, me just doing stuff. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
That's been in my head for a little bit.
Good. I'm glad that that you approached this with a question like that, and that we could just line that right up.
Sweet. Now, I've got lots of cool stuff that I can do with those 3 adept techniques.
Sure do.
We have goblins in the elevator trying to make it go down faster than we would like.
They're trying to stop it.
Trying to stop
What
it,
happened
okay.
when they pulled the
plug.
cabling apart was
Mhm.
that the elevator stopped.
Okay, so they've done their job.
Mission accomplished.
Mission
Yeah.
accomplished. Good work.
Yes,
I want to. No, go ahead.
Yeah, because the stakes were so low on them just stopping the elevator, I just was like, I'm going to let them have it so that the players know what happens when they do the thing.
Cool. I just realized with that penumbra, there's a thing I want to do that I don't have equipment for it. So it will be a feature note that Rich needs to get a some kind of like a Zippo or something. But that's okay.
You
I
are
think-
welcome to have a Zippo.
You're okay with that?
Yeah, as we discussed in session 0.
Oh, I've got lighter.
Ah,
Okay, I was
you've
just
got a
looking at
lighter,
equipment.
and also like anything that you as a human person right now, with some common sense exceptions, like
Mhm.
if you're a scientist and for some reason you have a blood panel kit in your pocket, what the hell? But anything that you personally would likely have in your pocket from one day to another, you can generally assume that your character can freely just have that in their pockets.
Sweet. Then tell me if this sounds like a thing that transfer heat makes sense for you. So
Okay.
I'm imagining that Griffin might even be a move that he's done before. I don't know. Hopefully you guys remember Zippos, but like the thing where you like squeeze your hands and it like pops it open, and so he does a flink and has a cling sound, and he strikes it
distinctive.
and then uses his ability to transfer heat to like throw some flame. He's trying to flame one of these goblins with just using the magic of transfer heat. Does that make sense for transfer heat? Or
So I
is it
think that that's a great start. I
Mhm.
think that the heat from that Zippo flame needs to go to a specific target. So for instance, a rock that a goblin might be holding in their hand.
got it? So instead I'm heating up things that are already existent, not throwing fire. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. I think from
Then-
the text of the move itself, that seems relatively object focused.
Okay. Then instead of the cool Zippo thing, I still have a Zippo. I got
You can keep
like,
that
my
technique in the back
initials. I've got
pocket because I think
Griffin
that's
on
a
there.
good trick.
Think
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hand of force, then I'll use that to try to attack one of these goblins that's coming after me.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's the goblins have definitely brought more sticks and stones than they necessarily require. The one that Debs toppled has certainly dropped something that you can pick up with telekinesis and fling around. So go hog. Let's see how
Sweet.
you roll.
Yeah, and the force subtly distorts the air, or subtly distorts the air and vision around it. So there's something that,
Right.
the
Right. It
AVS
kind of
picks
looks
up.
like there's maybe a see-through CGI hand or something picking it up. It's an awkward little effect. Yeah.
Cool.
The AVS might actually see it better than you do.
Nice. And I don't think I have any tags that feel like they fit here, other than find a spell to solve the problem. I mean, I could have hit him, but instead I want to do some magic.
Yeah,
Think that
I
works?
accept that.
All
Yep.
right, cool. So then I'm rolling 2d6 plus the one tag.
Yep.
So 2d6 plus 1. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh my, that is
Oh,
that is not good. That is a
irredeemable.
4. Yeah, that's terrible.
That is a failure. So sorry, there's a little noise in the other room from some show or something distracting. So here's what happens. So first of all, you take some damage But here's how that happens.
Mm-hmm.
You toss around a rock, and one of the goblins takes a page from Gildor's book and pops it up with his stick instead of getting smacked by it. There's still a bit of extra scrabbling and noise going around. And from one of the holes that the elevator is stopped right next to, comes sort of a taller, better fed, kind of wily looking goblin with this cap on his head that looks kind of like a pancake. This is Flapjack, the goblin bat boss. If you're watching at home, you'll actually get to see a little picture-in-picture Adventurers Guild roster for Flapjack, the star monster. And he sees that popped up rock, and he gives it an additional swing with his real good hidden stick. So this nice thick hickory branch with a few little gubbins added to it. Gildor, what's one particular gubbin on the good hidden stick? One little thing that he's tied to it or rammed through it.
I mean, he's a goblin, so it's got to be food related. I think it's a fish skeleton. He ate the fish, obviously.
Obviously, I mean, but it was such a good fish, he had to keep something around.
Yeah, right. And,
Yep.
Yeah. And also,
like
it looks good. He has heard that skeletons on weapons are kind of
Scary.
intimidating.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, but he'll knock that ball right back to you. And by ball, I mean rock. And that is 3 damage headed your way.
Ow! That is not good for a puny wizard. Okay.
See, this is but you started out at level 2. This is nothing.
Yeah.
You've experienced this before. Everything's fine.
Yep, sure.
Everything's fine.
Not worried.
And
Totally
after a malevolent snicker, he starts making some whistle noises, and the bats start to get a bit more active. And I believe the bats start to fly out, and I think that they're going to try to congregate on Debs.
Are the cave wall, like the kind of tunnel or shaft walls right next to the edge of are they open to us? Like, could I touch them?
Yes, you could touch them.
So could I slam up my body against it with bats on me to just rolling pin some bats?
Like you may damage the elevator a little bit, but it would be hard even for you. This is a big industrial elevator.
I'm feeling even big bats are probably less sturdy than industrial elevator. So
just a little. Cool. So are you rolling an attack?
Yeah. So I'm just literally using the force of my body against the wall with bat in between. As many bats as I can.
Mm-hmm. The bats are minions, so basically the number of damage roll is going to be the number of bats you take down.
Yeah.
Did I say number of bats you roll or damage you roll? Oh well.
I think it's basically bats roll. I'm not sure.
Concept communicated.
Yeah. I got it.
I think big and colorful definitely applies here.
Yeah, okay, big and colorful, and big sister again, just to extra big.
Yeah, okay. I like it. I like the context bending here.
Yeah,
It's cute.
I feel that's
Probably.
anything else would be even more of a stretch than using
Okay.
big sister again.
Okay.
Uh,
Hit it.
I've got a 9.
All right. Cool. So you guys are going to exchange damage. So you're going to take a 2 damage bite.
Okay. So there's grunts and
Yep.
like squished 2 bats.
Mm.
How big are these giant bats, by the way?
I mean, they're. Gosh, do I have that in description here?
I mean, we were talking like those fruit bat things. That,
Yeah, they're like
pretty big, but
they're like about 2 or 3 times the size of those guys. There's a bit of variation in the giantness of their giantness, but yeah, that's about what they like. They're half-trained beasts that love fruit and are minions, is the monster tags that I have on them. They're still quite wild. So yeah, we're gonna nail it down. You've knocked out 2 bats.
So yeah, I'm shaking the cage a little bit.
Yep, there's a bit of shaking. It's not. It is enough to be dramatic, but not enough to be worrying. Gildor, what are you up to?
I mean, there's this goblin with a real good stick and the fish skeleton, and I think he might be the leader. I hope he is. I don't care. He looks leaderish.
He looks leaderish.
I will run up the the bars of that cage we're in. I'll just run over them because I have a technique that lets me do this, and then I'll be on top of him, over him, and I assume my cobra stance, and I want to do my signature move on him, just to try out how that goes. It has the paralysis tag then, my attack, if I use that. And also I think I'll have to do a backflip, but I can do a backflip while I'm running up the bars. That's fine.
Sure, that's interactive.
And I will hit a chakra, then vulnerable chakra, and tell the goblin and the camera, of course.
You've got to roll your move.
I know, but I
okay.
I just want to say a thing before I roll.
Say the thing. Do it.
Because it could, if I fall flat on my face, it's going to be even funnier. I will tell him that your chakras, my friend, are out of alignment. You should see a chiropractor. Then I will do the thing, and I think I will flow like the thing and rush like the other thing. And maybe stance in a pose is actually helpful here because this is a pose that I'm using.
I think so.
Okay. Okay. Oh, wow. That's 13.
Nice. So let's see. When it's time for your signature move, you roll your attack and use the results for both. So you get a very good attack result. And you also, it's a 13 plus. So you get to choose 3 options from the signature moves list.
Nice. What are the options from? Wait,
the options
are
that one of your signature move options happens. Nobody on your team is left exposed by your theatrics, and take +1 to grandstanding until you leave this room.
Okay.
Now you can choose some of them more than once.
Where do I find these? Sorry, I'm slow.
It's in the moves tab in the first 4 columns, starting row 29 to 35.
There it is. I found it. Cool. And I think I want one of my signature move options to happen, like the paralysis tag happens. Sure. And I get to choose 3. I think I will, nobody in my team will be left exposed. And of course, I will take +1 to grandstanding. I will choose all of them. I know that I can choose more than one, but all three seem nice.
Sure. Cool things.
And then I get to choose whether I double my damage or avoid my enemy's rebuttal entirely. I think I want to double my damage, whatever that is.
Yes. So was this an attack with your quarterstaff or?
Oh wait, I've used the paralysis attack. I don't have to double my damage. That doesn't make any sense, right? If I want to paralyze that
Paralysis. The paralysis does not take the place of damage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
okay, then okay. No, this I don't think it was with my quarterstaff.
Yeah. Just your kung fu hands.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Then I'm going to mark that down as 2 damage.
Okay.
As he stumbles back and you can see some of his muscles seize up uncomfortably. And he manages to get. Says you, quack. Get him, he commands the other goblins. One of them looks up from getting a second plug set undone. And is definitely going to try to go after Dominique, I think.
Do I take damage because I didn't choose that? I don't.
Yes, you do. You do. Yeah, I think I'm going to have it be the full 3 just for the effect of it all. So you do take 3 damage. Thank you for remembering and pointing that out. But yeah, Dominique, you've got a goblin coming after you. There's still bats flying around in the air. I think right now there's 3 of them. One of them is sort of fallen down the elevator shaft. One of them is KO'd on the floor.
Okay. Okay, so 3 bats flying around outside.
Yep, Flapjack is cussing.
He's the one that's stunned, paralyzed for the moment.
Yep.
And how many goblins do we say are in here with us?
Let's see. There's like 4 or 5.
Ooh, so quite a few.
Yeah, it's getting a little crowded in here.
Okay. Well, if I have one coming at me, I suppose I need to face off on him or he's going to whack me. So I will kind of just flap my sling over my shoulder as I reach and pull out my rapier and jump forward to poke at him.
Excellent, excellent. Go get him.
All righty. Let's see. No Not So Glory. This seems like I'm charging into battle. Mean Streets of Brentwood. And that might be it. Maybe, yeah, I don't think I'm really taking on the heroic thing. I'm just saving myself. So it looks like +2. Alrighty. So I roll 2 die. I got a 9.
Nice, excellent. So yeah, pardon me a moment. Sabine pointed out that in fact, Gildor did not do 2 damage. Gildor did what he's supposed to do for damage, which is the lowest die in their roll, which is why most weapons don't have any sort of particular damage feature in it, because your die roll generates the damage, which means that Gilder actually did 10 damage. So a couple of goblins actually retreated after their leader got totally punked. However, you are going after the leader or one of the remaining like standing goblins with your rapier.
I'm guessing you said one was charging me, so it would be that one.
Good. All right, cool. So just to establish that, you rolled a 7.
A 9 with the
A
plus
9
2.
with your +2. Cool.
So it's the same.
Of course, but thank you for the correction. So yeah, you're going to be exchanging blows. So you deal the lowest d6 plus any modifiers.
Well, with my rapier, I get to do the highest.
Oh, excellent. That is real slick.
Because that's my technique.
Oh, nasty. I like it. Oh, that's real good. So you are going to be really screwing this guy up. He gets lanced. Honestly, he does, however, manage to batter at your fencing arm with a rock for 2 damage.
All right, so one more.
And yep, there's that. The one paralyzed goblin, Flapjack, he puts up his arms in surrender. He's like, no more, we done. We done. Give up. And he whistles to the bats who actually like form up on him a little bit. One of them sort of clings to his body like a little furry cloak, except it's kind of really big on him. It's a little comedic, but the others sort of hang on the ceiling behind him. You say, we go away now. We go away.
Yeah.
Wait, just a moment. I assume you've been to other places in this dungeon. We will allow you to leave in peace, but only if you share with us information about the other rooms.
Ref. And a little ABS screen like pops up nearby Flapjack. And let's see, which referee handles this? I think Shokilta Chililosa.
These names.
Chili pops on. She's like, what you need, Flapjack? Can tell info about dungeon? If you like them, tell them 2 things. If you don't like them, but they're interesting, tell them 1 thing. If you don't like them and they bore you, tell them nothing. That's my ruling. Ref out. The ABS screen disappears. Goblin's like,
We have
I do
refrained.
a little flirty wave from behind.
I want to point out that we have refrained from killing you all. I feel that might gain us some goodwill.
can't kill me if I surrender. Them's the rules.
Yeah, but we could have killed you before you surrendered. Do you imagine that I couldn't have?
He's very good with the stick.
What you want to know?
What's the first room once we get down to the bottom? And I'm going to go over and try to fix the cables.
They go together so easily. They're clearly made so that an idiot can do it.
Yay, I am that idiot. I'll fix it.
Like they even do the thing that USB ports don't. which is they only work in one direction. You can't put them in upside down unless you've got a hammer and a whole lot of time. So yeah, you plug them in and the elevator starts clunking back downward again.
Oh, well, I don't
Flapjack
want,
sort of-
is Flapjack, oh, like, I don't want to terrify him, I assume. I
He's a
was just
little
thinking-
uncomfortable. He's not
Okay.
terrified. He's just like, okay. I got to ride all the way down. I wanted to go back in my tunnel. Oh, well. So you want a tidbit about first room?
Yes,
First
please.
room. You should pay respect to Filthy Humy God. Pretty quiet in there. Yeah, it's a puzzle where you got to do a think. That's all I know. They don't give me full run of the place, you know. I don't pay attention to Humy gods. I can't tell them apart.
Fair.
Oh, Humy god of wealth. Humy god of being famous and wealthy. Humy god of being pretty and wealthy. It's all the same.
Yeah. No offense.
He's not wrong.
That's-
He's got a point. Hey, you
Give
want a
me a
hinge
plate
for
of-
us?
No,
Okay. Oh,
carrying stuff sucks.
I can get a cut of it.
Fair point.
Got to talk to the union.
Oh, okay. No, I don't want to deal with any unions. No,
Mm-mm.
no, that's all right. You defeated us with union talk, Flapjack.
Okay. Flapjack's going to go sit over here.
I will tell them that the root of wealth is dedication.
The what of wealth?
The root of wealth is dedication.
And just give me a plate of pancakes. That's what I want. And a nice big fish.
Ooh, pancakes.
That's my dream. Flapjack's fried fish and waffles.
Hmm. Pretty good dream.
Gotta have a dream.
Oh, there is wisdom in knowing knowing your dream.
Yeah, but instead I train bats just like my daddy.
Oh, I'll get you. I get you there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still,
You
though,
do.
you get paid, and you can have your dream. So you do the job to get the dream. That's how it works.
Son, I'm a goblin. I get paid and not getting killed.
Oh, you should talk to your union.
Yeah. What's a union for if it doesn't get you paid?
Well, if I don't get killed, it's pretty great.
I guess.
And
Huh.
the elevator to a halt. He's like,
Hi, Flapjack.
enjoy the dungeon.
Thanks.
Enjoy the fish and pancakes.
And I will move up to him and make some motion with his shoulder so he can move again. Say,
Oh, that's way better. Thanks, Quack.
"Mm, of course, my pleasure."
You guys are all right.
You do.
And he, waves the elevator. Clunk, 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 goes back up, probably to deposit him back at one of the tunnels.
Hmm.
They do their best to keep monsters from moving in the general access tunnels. And yeah, it's down here now that, especially now that the elevator and its 4 sodium lights are gone, it is deeply dark in here. It's a relatively long room. The ceiling is a bit low. It's definitely not going to scrape the heads of the humans quite. And yeah, let's take a bio break once I've set the scene here. But yeah, like Debs is definitely having to stoop. none of the humans are going to want to hop or jump or walk or run with too much of a spring in their step, because you're definitely going to slam your head into the ceiling here. Dominique, this is just like home. It's just, except for all the darkness, which, by the way, is just inky and thick and dark. That's true. Gildor's only half human. My apologies. like all filthy humies, I just see what I want to see. But a short distance away, you can see a pool of light bathing a few racks of gear and a few other things in those shelving units where you're not sure. But you see lanterns, hammers, helmets, and so on. Maybe a couple of harnesses ready to go. And an AVS screen pops up nearby with DJ Willowburn's face. And that's where we're going to cut to a break real quick. All right, we're back from the break. You just approached the second room of this dungeon. Just inky black darkness all around you in a equipment room of some kind.
I will pull out my flashlight and click it on.
Absolutely.
Please remind us what Flapjack said we should pay respect to, because I didn't catch that.
Some smelly human god, but
Human god. A human god of some sort.
But you are also immediately greeted by the arcane video screen delivered face of DJ Willowburn, who intones, "Oh, welcome to another day down in the mines, plumbing riches from the depths of the earth. Not that you can tell it's daytime anymore. Still, y'all should pay your respects to Pluto before you move on to scrape his riches from the walls of the earth. The very stuff our way of life depends on, you could say. Spend a little time figuring it out. There are several ways that you can leave this area and move on with your dungeoneering work, but only one of them is the right way. Good luck." You. As described, on the farther end of the room, there's a pool of light highlighting some shelves of equipment some distance away.
Is everybody okay? Anybody particularly hurt?
I'm good. Ooh.
Pain is just a reminder of our mortality.
Yeah, I really like forgetting it. I'm hurt a little bit. Yeah, a little hurt, little CTTC under here, in the blood here.
Oh, well, I could try to help. It could. It will go great. Don't worry.
Nothing could possibly go wrong.
I trust you, little big man.
Aw. So I will come over and begin kind of intoning a song underneath my breath as I probe the area and focusing on it. And I will attempt to do my magical healing.
All right.
And are we in a short rest?
No, absolutely not.
So I think I'm doing my, let's see, wife hat baby face looks good on this one.
Sure.
Maybe mean streets of Brentwood busking for my bread.
Sure, you're singing to do this. I'll let that happen.
All right. Looks like I've got
you're being
two.
a bard. All right.
Looks like I've got 2 on it. So rolling.
Hey.
Woo. That's a 12.
That's what we like to see on these.
Um,
You heal them equal to your lowest D6 plus aptitude, which is 7. However, you can't overheal him and increase his HP.
so Whoa.
Nice. I feel amazing.
You feel great. Your HP is back up to 14. Please mark that you have received magical healing.
What does that mean? I only get it once? Oh, clear on short rest. Okay, cool.
Yep. While marked, you can't receive that type of healing again. So you can't get hurt and have the cleric fix it, get hurt and have the cleric fix it, get hurt and have the cleric fix it over and over again.
Got it.
Yep. Cool. So what do y'all do? It's pretty quiet down here. Dominique, your flashlight does help, but the gloom is just absolutely thick. You're going to need a bit more additional light than just a flashlight to engage with most serious tasks without, like serious movement or eyesight-based tasks without additional light. Just so you know, that's a feature of this room.
I guess
I can turn on my flashlight as well. Sorry.
Sure.
Tyler, I was talking over you. I'm sorry.
no. I was just going to say, I suppose moving up towards the shelves to see what we have on them.
Right. As you approach the shelves, you see that among the gear are lanterns, hammers, helmets with their own lights on, like I said, harnesses, and chisels and the like. And then among these racks of gear, you actually spot this small, worn, not like abusively worn, but like lovingly worn down shrine to Pluto. On the altar, there are 5 holes in the altar. They're sort of diamond shaped, and in one of them there rests a pickaxe head, point down, just nestled nice and deep inside of it. And then just above that row of 5 holes, you see this sort of pattern like ant trails under bark. You know what I'm talking about? You know, just these, like somebody threw 5 or 6 strands of spaghetti onto it and then etched where the spaghetti outlined everything, right? Just these very chaotic, wiggling noodle patterns right above it. And there's a dull glow at one point on one side where all of the spaghetti seems to converge.
This looks like magic, so
It's true. It does look like magic. Let me see what I can figure out.
I'll look at the
Sets.
shelves.
He sets off and Goof down to the floor. Go check out those holes. Don't go in them, but take a look.
And he patters on the altar and sniffs them and makes a couple of significant faces, thoughtful looks. Are you engaging in a role of some kind here?
Yeah, I'd like to try to figure out what those 5 receptacles. And also, as a note to the other players, Rich is terrible at puzzles. So while I am playing a wizard, if you, the player, want to tell me a cool idea or just take over and do a cool thing, do not feel like I am going to stand in your way, because I'm sure whatever your idea is better than whatever my idea is.
As an experienced DM, both of this game, sort of, and also much more so of D&D, with some of my friends who are incredibly intelligent, clever, thoughtful, well-researched, and so on, I'm still like, I'm going to take a batch of middle school puzzles that they give in classrooms, and I'm going to use those for my D&D puzzles, but I'm going to make them even simpler and more visual, and that's my rule for D&D puzzles.
Yeah,
So
I would get my ass totally kicked by these things.
nah, you're gonna be fine. Trust me.
Cool.
I don't want this to grind the game to a halt. It's gonna.
Yeah. I was just trying to offer up that, like, don't say, oh, this is Rich's thing. It's not Rich's thing. Rich is playing the wizard to stretch himself. And if you've got a good idea, to throw it out there. Cool. So I'm trying to figure out what's up. A bit of a read a situation, I guess, in a way.
All right. So it seems like you're bringing your ferret into this, using him to explore things with his senses that you might not be able to.
Yes. And I did figure out my level 2 tag surprisingly clever.
Okay, I think that you being a graduate of the Long Island Wizards Academy also could probably weigh in here.
Cool. So does that mean with 3 tags, I'm rolling 2d6 plus 3? Is that right?
Yes, however, I want to poll the group here. How much light is being focused on the altar as Griffin studies it with his friendly little familiar?
I mean,
Are multiple people pointing flashlights? Are you improvising anything? What you doing about the light situation?
before you even mentioned that, my plan was to go over, collect enough helmets with those lights on, and just be standing awkwardly, probably annoyingly, behind Griffin while he tried to figure out the puzzle holding this
With
stack.
like the whole stack? Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. Go ahead and just roll 2d6 plus 3. You are not rolling at disadvantage.
Fantastic. All right, here we go. Woof, I needed all of those 3 and I still didn't get to a 10, but I got a 9.
All right. So, Urfel
Rich,
looks.
you can roll 2d6. You know that. Oh, there are. I'm sorry. I can't read today.
It's okay. No worries.
I had that same reading problem earlier, Sabine, that led to a couple of little errors on my part. It's all right. We all do it. It's okay. You've been doing enough to keep me on the straight and narrow, so I appreciate you. And yeah, Urfel then decides, he's going to reach a paw down in there. And like, he does even do the little tongue thing, and it's adorable. And definitely somebody wants a picture of that for later. And do you imagine, as you're familiar, that you've got that like psychic connection thing, or?
I'd like that.
Yeah.
I always find that amusing and fun.
Yeah. Urfel is, he's thoughtful, considering. He's like, there's something moving inside here. Is mechanism?
Don't go in. I've got this.
Too small.
A hand could fit in. Yes? No?
The holes, so there are the 5 holes that are kind of a diamond shape. And I did this, and this is not indicative of the size. This is more indicative of the size. And one of those holes has a pickaxe head sunk right into it. And with your 9, I can tell you, this altar probably wants 5 pickaxe heads set into those holes.
I think this altar needs 5 pickaxe heads inside it.
5, coming right up.
I mean, we're supposed to respect Pluto, and I'm not sure, right? I didn't grow up with human gods or anything like that, because my human father is a surgeon and doesn't hold with. My human father is a surgeon and he does not hold with the gods. But I remember from school that Pluto was an underground god.
Your father's an atheist? Hum num 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 num. How dramatic. How interesting. Okay. Go on.
Some sort of underground god? Yes.
Mhm.
God of the dead?
He is
Something
god of
like
the dead,
that?
god of the
Yep, God-
underground, god of
God of
riches.
the underworld. God of riches. Yep. Because
So,
you. Yep.
God of riches. So how do we respect him best? And I look to Philip clearly because it's the human, has to know that.
And Philip, with your 9, you're certainly able to discuss certain Plutonian rituals. And in general, Jen knows Jack Diddley about this because, as it turns out, nobody worships Pluto anymore.
It's all good.
But basically, it's probably the standard god stuff, prayers, worship, minor sacrifice, particular observance of particular festivals, absolutely. But in this case, you might need to consider specifically how the miners might honor him and might do so regularly, especially when they are traveling so deep under the earth with their lives at stake.
I see.
Well, we have these slots.
These pickaxes, the shiniest ones.
So
That's
there are
suggested.
actually no pixes, conspicuously so, among the tool rack.
So what did I find amongst the tool rack?
Chisels, hammers, those helmets that you've put in together,
Hmm.
a couple of lanterns that, quite frankly, take oil that isn't present, so those are right out. Tyler, did you have something you were thinking of?
Well, the holes were diamond shaped, and he likes riches. Maybe we put in something we mine out of the walls into the holes. Something valuable, a gem or a chunk of gold or something.
I'm putting one of those helmets on my head and like shining around at the walls to see if there's anything glittery.
As you shine the light around the walls, I mean, this I don't even need to make a roll for anybody. This was a coal mine. So the walls that you see here, they're dark stone, right? Like there's no coal seam here. Otherwise, this wouldn't really be a room anymore. This would be, empty space. But there's an occasional fleck of mica here and there inside of the stone of the walls. Things are hewn pretty roughly. Occasionally, there will be some kind of steel support or, other feature. Off in a corner, there's a no-go door that's clearly labeled as, as a Blood of Champion Xcrawler, you know that no-go doors are access doors used by the dungeon judge's staff that adventurers are not supposed to go through. And if you run through one, it's an immediate disqualification. There are like 5 passageways that lead out of here that you can spot. There are 3 doorways here, and then through one doorway just a bit further, there's a fork that you can see right away where it splits off. And you hear a little bit of rustling from some of the tunnels.
I think Debs is just going to declare.
Oh, and you know what? Scattered around the floor near some of the tunnel entrances are some of the tools. And if you want any more clues from me, I'm going to need a roll from somebody to make that happen.
Well, I think Debs is feeling useless and decides to. She's got a helmet with a light on. She's got a hammer in her hand, her own one, not one that's picked up off the floor. She's going to go investigate the rustling sounds.
All right, cool. Is your goal here to find the source of the rustling sounds or something else, or?
It's worth figuring out what that rustling sounds is.
All right,
you know,
excellent. Excellent. Then let's build your pool and get some dice rolling.
let's do that.
Is anybody palling around with Debs right now?
Yes,
Gilder,
because-
yeah?
Yes, I feel this is not my area of expertise. This is not a riddle of being or of existence as such. This is a more mundane riddle, which I do not mean to dishonor the gods, of course, but it is not my area of expertise. So we'll go with Debs.
All right, cool. I mean, Debs looks like she knows what she's doing. She seems to have some kind of plan.
Second generation Xcrawler,
Certainly, absolutely.
which I
This
now
is-
feel might be a OP.
It's a little bit over applicable since all you do is
Yeah.
X crawling, but I trust you, and you have already shown remarkable restraint with the tag. So here it comes. I'm happy to see it in play. Are you embracing your orc side at all while you go
Would
through
like
these
my,
tunnels? Does that apply at all?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
How?
Crouch down. What was the Canadian Mountie show with the guy who's always touching the ground and picking up?
Dudley Do Right? No.
Due North, I think it was called. Yeah, I do the leaning down, picking up whatever filth on the ground, touching to my nose, to my tongue,
Having a little taste.
and using my
You
senses and
have
tracking
such a
skills and-
broader sense of taste when it comes to mineral flavors. Other people might be like, oh, well, this tastes kind of tinny or this tastes kind of coppery, but you're like, this tastes like actinated coal dust with mica flakes in it,
Okay, maybe
that-
tell that if this hasn't been like affected by oxygen more recently. This has been like
Right, like
only
these-
recently been
this
turned
is-
over to
this
the.
is this
but-
deoxidized or fully oxidized or yeah, you can definitely taste
So with a
that.
+2, I am rolling to.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
I got a 9 total.
Got a 9. You definitely taste heavy oxidation. And as you bring your light closer, you can see little puddlings of rusty color as you explore. And as you sort of take a first cautious delve into one of the tunnels, you find this critter, and he's sort of a ruddy orange red color, kind of like if a beetle was more expressive and about the size of Beaker, of Rich's little
Oh.
doggo. And it's
Hi there. I'll do a little.
it scrabbles a little bit and then scurries away, dragging something that glints in your light, something metal.
Cobra. My
Yes.
point, let's like start to lumber forward.
I will jump.
After.
I will do not a vertical jump, but a horizontal, like a flip flop over the thing, just stand in its way. So it's between me and Debs. So we can get to this. And I will say, Brother Beetle, we will need this shiny thing that you have. Please give it to us and avoid further harm.
let's have you roll to see if you can corner it between you and Debs.
Okay. Okay, I think, yeah, I'm using my approach here a lot, but that is what I'm doing, right?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not trying to, I mean, yeah. And yeah, I have this technique wall climb, and I have this technique mighty leap. I don't know if that helps, but it probably will. Or probably will give me the narrative permission for a jump like that.
I would suggest leaning on wall climb because the ceilings here are
Mhm.
low.
Yeah, well, then I'll lean on wall climb.
Cool.
That is also fun.
Yeah.
But
It's-
but I still get only +1, right?
Correct.
Can I preemptively help?
Sure.
Since I'm,
Absolutely.
blocking
Absolutely.
the
Totally.
friend of the team?
Yeah,
Mhm.
you see what Gildor is doing. You're like, oh, okay, then low stance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, this is the thing. This is the puzzle. We
Mhm.
need this.
Mhm.
So I'm
Yes.
Very
that
possibly.
is-
So you're spending from the teamwork pool. So Gildor, your roll is now a +2 instead of just a +1.
Nice. See how that goes.
And I'm going to
Nice,
take
nice.
into account. Oh,
Wow.
wow. Yeah.
Wow, it's a 12.
Whoosh. Yeah,
Yes.
you pin it in admirably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you manage to step down just in front of it, and it like screeches to a halt in as much as something that size can. Right. And then it tries to scrabble one way and your foot is there, and it tries to scrabble another way and your foot is there. And it sort of starts turning around in confusion and then drops the metal object and curls itself into this tight little ball like a pill bug.
Oh, it's very cute.
Is there like
Fire.
a little shelving of rock? We can just like pick it up and just put it to a side.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
we get
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
yes.
Absolutely.
pat on it and then
Yep. It has no response for your patting. It's definitely pill bug time, and you have won yourself a pickaxe head. It's shiny in most parts except for the end that this critter was nibbling on, and you can see that it's just bubbled over with this incredible rust. It looks like just deeply gutted lacework on the dull end.
well, I think a
Oh.
Griff will want this.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you think there's more?
I think
We
there
should look for more.
maybe we should look for more.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe we should tell the others though. There were
Oh,
a lot of exits from the hallway, and I feel we have 5 exits. We need
Yeah.
four heads. So I think my thinking here would be, and I don't know if this is correct, I'm not a specialist in these kinds of riddles, as I said, we'll find 4 heads in 4 hallways, and maybe we should take them the 5th. That would that is just a big guess. Though.
Yeah, that sounds right. I turn to one side and then just the loudest voice Debs can do, just yell down the cavern. We've got one of the doohickeys. We're gonna go find more.
Deb's
Good.
shouting is well in excess of requirements.
We hear you. Thank you.
The darkness, however, does make it kind of hard to tell how far you've traveled in one direction or another. So it's once they start going through any of these tunnels, they'll be like, oh, I get it now. About why you shouted so loudly. Poor Gildor. His clever little half-elf ears are just ringing. I need to grab myself some water.
I tried to.
Okay.
All right, water gotten. But Debs had just shouted that they'd gotten one. And we're going to find more But I'm curious, Dominique, how are you occupying your time here in this room? What's going on with you?
I think I probably have started, I started off there watching Griffin and checking in with the altar itself. And once we heard the yell, I would look, well, Griff, you think it makes sense for us to check out one of the rooms, or?
Yes, we need to earn our keep. I'd hate for Deb and Cobra to do all the work. Let's pick random room.
All right. I'm going to roll a die.
Yeah.
I know I said I wasn't going to, but here I go. Come on, one. Oh, okay, fine. All right. It was not a 1. You choose a corridor to explore. What do you do? It is quite dark, but with the application of multiple flashlights, you can see enough to search. There's some skittering and scrabbling that you can hear. You can also hear a lot of echoes. However, they're not like damp echoes. They're sort of dry echoes. This isn't a particularly moist cave, you're noticing. It's warm.
I see. You catch that, don't you?
Yeah. Let's see if we can find the movement and creeping along, shining the light, heading towards the sound.
And I think as you headed for this tunnel, you two also saw that there were some tools sort of strewn about near some of these entryways, and that, this area has been molested a little bit by something, you're not sure. And as you prowl forward, alert, somebody ought to make some kind of a roll.
All right. You want to do it or me, Rich?
I think you're closer to the ground, so maybe you can receive a little more.
All right, short jokes. Gotcha.
I have to say, though, I make that joke myself all the time. I'm like, I'm already close enough to the ground. I'll get it. So, little man, big smile.
Yeah.
If you wanna, I think.
Uh-huh.
Because we're making short jokes.
And that might be it.
All right.
Well, I'm heading for. I'll do no nuts, no glory. I think that might fit in there. I'm
Dark
taking
tunnel.
advance. Yeah.
You don't know what's down here. Yeah.
All right. We're rolling. Ooh, 13.
Lordy. All right. Excellent. I'm gonna award you a moment of glory for that 13 and add 1 to the pool.
Yay.
So you actually find a couple of pickaxe heads, and they are this nice polished steel. Doesn't look like anything has gobbled them up. So
Here we go, Griff. This looks like it'll help.
No doubt.
And yeah, farther down the corridor, you hear the scrabbling again, and a little rust monster peeks its head up out of a small rust-lined tunnel, and he's like a good 10-15 feet away. This isn't super immediate, and its antennae sniff the air, but it seems to focus in your direction. But you have a very, with that 13 plus, you have a very good opportunity to just get away, engage with this however you want.
I could attempt to levitate it with a hand of force, my friend. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, that seems like an interesting idea. Or, I mean, can you like just shoo it away with that?
Sorry, I had an idea, but I'm not going to share. Okay, fine, I'm going to share. I'm also going to flip a coin here. Dominique, you're the one who comes up with this idea. No, actually, I'm going to have Philip be the one I give this as a gift to. Sorry, dice. You realize that maybe you could use this little guy to hunt down other iron objects, other steel objects. So maybe you could use the hand of force like a little leash.
My occasional dabbling into monster nomicon has told me that the rust monster is able to smell out metal, like often goof to the treats that you occasionally like to eat, little big man. Perhaps we could corral it, collar it, and use it like a bloodhound.
That's good smarts, my friend. Good smarts.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's see if we can apprehend it. And I will try to hand of force.
Excellent. Let's build up your pool here and see how this goes.
All right. So arcane over anything, of course. I could run and try to grab it, but I'm going to find a spell to solve the problem. And this feels like, because the DJ gave me this inspiration, am I being surprisingly clever?
I think so.
All right. So that would be 2. Feels.
Yeah. Thank you for taking this direction. In chat, somebody was like, "Don't hurt our beetle friends," and I was like, "Oh, they're like pets." They're like, "Oh, wait."
Oh, that is a 14. Ow.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you do it. You work out a variation of the spell that is very collar and leash like. And after a few moments of both showing it the metal so that it the metal of those pickaxe heads so that it knows what it's going after, and also making it clear that the ones that you have are off limits, it starts feelering around and scrabbling forward just as steady as you please, and it wanders around a little bit in the early areas of the vestibule, and some of the the first few steps into the tunnels, before heading off into a specific direction, with quite a determination. After chasing after him at the best speed that your legs can carry you at, Philip, the wizard, and Dominique, quite frankly, I think you have better cardio, if only because as a singer, you got to use them lungs. And you're led to another spot where I think, just happy as you please, in the middle of the floor, an additional rust monster is nibbling away at a final pickaxe head. What do you do?
Shoo, 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 shoo. And we'll attempt to like
To scare it off. I mean, now
right,
this one,
yeah.
this one's kind of stuck in. I think it's going to take a roll to get him to let it go.
I think I whip from around my back my saxophone and let out a loud sort of saxophone note, hopefully to scare the little guy away, rather than come and eat my saxophone.
I mean, is your saxophone made out of iron? But I get you.
No, I guess it's a brass. All right.
But hit it.
Let's see. Playing the clubs, making the connects and getting those digits. So I'm bringing out my instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Little man, big smile.
Cool. I'll allow it.
And maybe to be famous enough to move beyond this, since I'm pulling out a musical performance-y type thing.
So in this case, then I would want you to be pulling like a riff or something, not just a sound.
Okay.
And what kind of riff is it?
I think I'm definitely doing the intro to Iron Man.
Okay, I like it.
All right.
Give her a roll.
Roll it. That's a 14.
Marvelous. Okay.
Boy, the die rollers love you today.
Yeah. Woof. Yeah. This scene's been going so well. I am gonna add another point to your team pool. This is going super good. Yeah, it takes that sound as a threat and scutters away. So you have achieved a 4th pickaxe head.
I'll finish with a flourish and mug out to the camera as I put away my saxophone.
Yep, that's something that definitely gets some instant replay, especially since you're probably going to spend a few moments moving back to the shrine, but maybe not. Who knows? What do you do?
Griff, this looks like it's, if they found one, we've got 3. Does that fill all the spots?
Yes, because there's one already, a total of 5. Math tells me we are good.
Then
Yep.
I think we've got it, my friend.
And yeah, Gildor or Deborah or Debs, you hear a saxophone riff, the opening chords of Iron Man.
Yeah, I think they're in trouble. Let's get there as quickly as we can. This
Yep.
sounds like this surely must be a call for help.
Yep. You hurry back. We get a little inset shot where your running speed is clearly causing enough air movement in the tunnel that the still pill bugged rust monster like just creaks back and forth a little bit. And you skid to a halt in the main central room and reconvene.
You called for help.
Are you all right? We
Oh,
heard-
also,
we heard.
Philip and Dominique are still leading a rust monster around on what seems to be a leash of sort of dully glowing energy.
I think my kind of like, are you in trouble, is just cut off straight away, like a squeal, and Debs is down on her knees and like in, you know, giving a little scratch on the head to the little beetle thing.
It seems to tolerate this. It also seems to like try to climb onto your knee a little bit, and that's in the direction of your hammer.
Oh, can we keep this?
Keep it away from the hammer, please.
Oh, let's gently divert
to-
it away.
We need to
Feel it
find some
twitching.
nails or something. And yes, perhaps we can bring it about. I'm not entirely sure
mean-
if carrying a monster to the next room is allowed.
Oh, it could get hurt.
Yes, let us just feed it some of the stuff we find on these shelves, maybe.
Yes.
I
On
feel
it.
that Pluto wouldn't mind. I think.
I go looking for scraps.
One of those chisels would probably do it quite nicely.
Don't need to break it in the bits or anything, or just hand.
I mean, as soon as you're like pointing the chisel at it, it's like, you know, it puts
into
its puts the leggies up, and then
Yeah.
yeah, it'll take it and
Nice work, team.
just quietly nibbling away.
Yeah.
And slowly, like the rust sort of spreads over the thing, and then it just nibbles away at the rust. And what do you do?
Right. I'm going to start. I mean, I'm going to take these pickaxes back and set them in and see if that properly honors Pluto.
All right. You set each of them in, give them a little polish, and as you do, there's a little tone. Even boo, 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 boo. And then that spaghetti noodle sort of pictogram above one particular noodle starts to glow specifically. And as you look sort of back to the corridors, and then you count and you look carefully at this diagram again, you're like, oh, I think it's a map.
Well, friends, it seems that we have a map.
To the way out. Oh, the
I
next
feel it
room.
would be probably the way to the next room, right?
Indeed.
Huh.
I'll try to study it closely. See if I can. Oh, wait. Haha. I have, amidst my equipment, I believe I have a composition book and a Sharpie. So I'll pull that out and scribble down all the map and notes and just make a copy of it. I'll even make a back. Oh, it's a Sharpie. So it bleeds through to the next page. And I rip off
You got a
the
copy.
bled through page and hand that to Cobra.
Excellent. All right, away you go. And it looks like we're kind of coming close to time. How we doing, folks?
Yeah, wrapping up would be.
I've got a brief little skit note to make, and then we can call it, bring things to a close.
Sounds great.
On the screens at home, everyone sees a picture-in-picture note of, well, here's what the heroes missed out on by solving the puzzle and honoring Pluto in the way that these ancient miners used to. Ancient, they say, even though, of course, they were still mining at Harewood up to about 10, 15 years ago. So take that for what you will. And they do the picture-in-picture shot blinks over from one of the tunnels to another tunnel that goes from dark to sort of very low light to bright light. They could have run into Wiggles, the gelatinous cube. And indeed, in front of the cameras, as the lights shine on it just right, you can see that sheer transparent surface reflect enough that you can tell it's there, fills the entire corridor with no space in between. And inside of Wiggles, the gelatinous cube, you can see, some rocks and some detritus and unfortunately half of a rust monster shell. And the metal letters W, I, G, and L hanging inside of it in its bulk. Looking pretty clearly placed there, but also kind of moved around because it's a gelatinous cube. It's going to go places.
That's great.
So, yeah, Wiggles is an inheritance actually from a different crawl. Gildor, what regional crawl is Wiggles from? What city?
I think Wiggles is from, let's say, let me think for Miami. It's from Miami.
Oh,
It has
I love that.
it has a little surfboard still embedded in it, but
Mhm.
yeah, and the lionfish, the dead lionfish. of course.
Dead lionfish skeleton. Yeah. Yep. Little spine sticking out. Oh, incredible. Yeah. Wiggles is just a decorated veteran among the monster crowd, even though it can't think or sign an autograph. That's what that takes. Excellent. And that's where we're going to close as you follow the tunnels and you finally make it safely to a heavy steel door.
Can I steal a rust monster though?
Can you steal a rust monster?
Got a Gucci backpack, and maybe the rust monster will fit.
You cannot steal a rust monster. That would definitely get you docked points or warned by the
Damn.
ref.
Damn. Okay, then I won't.
Yep.
I'll pat
And
the rust monster while we go and say, if you see other people like us, I say very quietly so that Debs and the others can't hear it. Maybe the cameras won't pick it up, but I will say to it, if you see others like us, run like hell. Just say.
it puts a couple of pseudopods on your foot and wiggles its feelers at you, and then something in the darkness seems to call to it, and it scutters away. Goodbye, Rusty. That is end of session. So do we want to do stars and wishes on camera here? Do we want to do that off?
Up to you, Jen.
All right,
What would
let's
you
do it on
prefer?
camera. I'm
All right.
perfectly happy either way. I can't be made further embarrassed by my mistakes. So let's start with Alex. Let's start stars first and then go around for wishes.
Flapjack. Just awkward elevator ride with Flapjack was I think my favorite part. Just the we're not fighting anymore, we're not friends, but no reason to be rude.
Yeah, it was a very hello Ralph, hello Sam kind of moment.
Yeah, and it would be just feel a bit rude or awkward to just not say anything at all. So let's have a little conversation.
Just filling the dead air. Yeah, that was cute. Right, Rich, any stars thoughts?
Yeah, lots of. I've really enjoyed the. Although I worry it might be problematic, and we may need to have conversations about it. But we're pretty sweet. Like this crew is nice to the goblins. That once the fight is over, and then we want to save the rust monsters. I worry about that. It might be a wish of like, is this going to work for the overall designs of or the assumptions of Xcrawl? I guess that's a little bit of my wish. I also liked Little Big Man. Just I'm still chuckling about Little Big Man playing Iron Man for the rust monsters. That on a saxophone, no less. That is
That was pretty.
a word
choice.
salad I did not expect to say today.
That's why I love this game, man. People bring some fun stuff to it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's good stuff.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you,
enjoying
Rich. Yeah. Dominique, stars.
I love the concept of this. I like the, playing to a crowd. Winning is important, but doing it with style is just as important. I think that's cool. So I'm really enjoying kind of the concept of the game. Alex, I love how you're playing Debs. She is so sweet. I love the squeal and go down to pit. I thought that was very, very, very cool. So I'm enjoying it. I loved how everybody did stuff, but I'll leave some stars on the table.
Excellent. Well, here to hoover up remaining stars, Sabine, what you got?
Is it my turn? I'm sorry, I got frozen a little there.
Uh-huh.
So, oh yeah, stars. Yeah, stars to all of you was fun. I'm special star for a puzzle that was eminently solvable. I really liked that. I thought we would spend a lot more time, but it wasn't that hard. And that was a good thing. And also, yeah, meeting rust monsters. That was also, I mean, the first thing I've ever met in a dungeon in the last time was always rust monsters. So it felt very appropriate. And the goblins and the elevator ride was also, that was also nice. And I just like the ferret because, I mean, it's just brilliant having a ferret named Offengoof. So, yes.
I need to keep him in mind for, you know, little reaction shots and other small vignettes, because that's very easy to have the camera cut away and what's Offengoof doing, you know. So that's fun and rich. So stars from me to you. Thank you so much, stars to everybody, for picking up the rules really quickly, more quickly than myself, the writer of the rules in some cases. It's been a minute since I've run this game, and so everybody's patience while I get back up to speed has been deeply appreciated. And stars to all of you also for engaging well in what's really, I think, the secret core mechanic of this game, which is just that simple back and forth DJ and player negotiation of, well, you know, I think that this applies here and maybe I could do this to do this sort of thing. Like, I think that that's sort of the core D&D or D&D like experience that is kind of designed towards with Vagabonds of Dyfed. And I think that it's something that's really worth designing towards. So I've been very pleased with how you guys have engaged with that throughout this game. Thank you very much. Oh, we were born. Sabine shares they were born in a place called Offenbach, and that ferret always reminds them of that. That's fun. Sorry, now I'm going to step away from the camera for a moment, but I'm going to be right back. You'll see.
What is this?
Tilt it a little.
It's an
No,
Oberbayern
I
poster.
like this.
I know it's tough to, there we go.
Yeah, okay.
Lights shining
Yeah.
on it.
Wow,
Yeah, that's
that's
charming.
cool.
Mhm,
Yep.
nice.
So it's a poster, but I'm pretty sure that it's for target practice because there's actually a tiny bullseye in black right here that is extremely difficult to see in this light. Anyways, that's a poster that I inherited from my grandmother that she got on a trip to Germany in like the 1960s, I think. Anyhow, yeah, they charm the hell out of me and they make me think of, you know, nights spent staying over at my grandma's place as a kid. So it's very comforting and I love them. So now let's go around and do wishes. Going to start back over again with Alex. What's any wishes that you might have?
I look forward to doing the, which I feel like it might be behind the metal door, doing some of the, what's it called? Like the confessionals camera and such. I look forward to kind of engaging in those mechanics.
Yep. Just, I don't count this as spoilers. I'll be happy to tell you guys. Behind that steel door is in fact the break room for the dungeon. So you'll be able to engage in some break time moves and some downtime stuff and take a short rest.
Uncheck my box. Yay.
You can uncheck that box.
So I look forward to opening the metal door. That is my
Excellent.
wish.
Thank you. Thank you. Rich, any wishes from you?
We started late, and there's a lot of learning the mechanics. So I think those were significant factors, but I do hope that we can, like, my wish is that we get through the dungeon in the next session. I don't know if that's realistic or what the pace should be
I'm
like.
pretty confident we will.
Cool. That makes me happy because, like, to me, like the ratio in my head is like 2/3 of the time we're doing dungeon stuff, but a full 1/3 of the time we're doing the like outside the dungeon stuff. That's
That's kind of your sweet spot.
That's what I'm
Okay.
envisioning be this sweet spot. It may be half and half. I don't know. It's still just in my head of what I think.
Sure.
So that's
Sure.
the only wish is like, I wish we can get through the dungeon. That's without rushing, but like
Sure.
get through to see what happens after too.
I think now that we're stuck into the action and we've had a bit more time learning the rules and getting our feet under us. Oh man, people are typing the word yawn over and over. Okay. But I think that things are going to go a bit smoother and faster next session without rushing. I think I'm strongly optimistic that we're going to get through the rest of this dungeon next session. Cool. So thank you. Point noted. Tyler, wishes for next session or generally?
I'm looking forward to some opportunities for us like to talk with each other, kind of engage those conversation mechanics with player stuff. I think that'll be fun. So a chance to, and I think it'll show a little bit more of the depth of the characters where we're all kind of putting on camera face, see a little of the underneath. Or who knows, maybe it'll be like The Bachelor or something where we just go into these arguments with each other from the camera, but having this chance to interact between each other, something I'm looking forward to.
Sometimes I've run this game and I've been like, okay, so now we're at that part in the reality TV show where you're just alone in a room commenting on what happened in the last couple of rooms of this dungeon. Go, right? And tell me what you think. And that was fun. It's a fun way to approach it. But yeah, I think that in the break room, you're going to have those good opportunities to actually talk with teammates. There might be some heavy camera action in there. There might be some places where you can kind of hide from the cameras. We'll see how that plays out. But feel free also to be like, hey, I kind of want there to be a little segment between me and this other character where the cameras are not really on us. And I'll make that happen. Sabine, wishes for next session.
Wishes. I wish the dice were as nice to us as this time, because I mean that was epic. And otherwise, yeah, more conversations, more drama, maybe a little, and yeah, and I wish I was less tired. I could think of better fake things for Gildors to say, fake wise things for Gildor to say. Maybe I'll just hit the Inspiro bot and babble whatever that gives.
There's nothing wrong with doing a little pregame work and having a little list to work off of. I think that is strong. And if you wish to do so, I would love to see it. Cool. Me wishes for next session. I definitely would like us to get through the dungeon next session. I would like to continue to sort of smooth over how I run this and my own returning grasp of this game and how I've designed the hack and how the rules play out. But I've been relatively satisfied with performance so far. You know, like I said, the core part where most of the real chewy stuff in this game is actually that negotiation between players and the DJ. And I think that we're hitting that, and it's feeling good, and it's leading to really interesting interaction in the scenes. So I'd really just like to see more of that. I hope that that some of the cool stuff I have in store for you really lands. And we'll have to see how that goes next week. But it's been lots of fun playing with y'all. And I think I'm going to turn the talking stick over to Rich to close the video.
Cool. Thank you so much, Jen, for running a full session of Xcrawl. It was really fun. Looking forward to more. And thanks everybody for playing along. If you've watched this and you want to watch more, check out the channel. And thank you so much for any feedback that you have to offer. We'll stop the recording here.